So I assume you all have watched these wonderful contributions from our associate partners, and we will make it this way. We have a lot of questions to Claytec first, so this is about 5 minutes Claytec, and afterwards we will do a conference with all the panel producers, a stress test. So, because people want to compare, naturally, me as well. So I will ask you questions afterwards to all of you. So Lauynas will also be there, and whoever joins from any panel producer we have seen. And the first questions go to Diplom Engineer Dr. Ulrich Röhlen from Claytec. Thank you and welcome that you're here in this ESPG meeting.
Yes, I'm glad to be
And
here.
and there are some questions from the chat directly on YouTube, and also some from here from the Zoom. And I will directly start with the questions after your welcome words.
Yes, thank you very much that I could speak to you about clay and straw, two old fellows, as I think. I hoped I could give a short overview about the use of clay in modern straw buildings. A little bit I want to say, I'm no doctor. I don't want to, we say strange feathers using, but diploma engineer is right. I worked with Claytec since 1984, since the first days. I am the technical and sales leader of the company. And okay, I'm glad to hear questions.
So, first question was, where do your raw materials like the colorful clay fine plasters come from?
And they come from Germany. It's a middle high mountain. It's called Westerwald. It's between Koblenz and Frankfurt. And this is a very old region for colored clays. And we took nearly all colored clays from there. The white clays we took from South Germany, but all the clays come from Germany.
Great. And the minimum thickness to mount clay boards directly on straw bale infill timber frame construction. So let's say you have most probably some technical data sheets where you can tell people if you have post every 60 centimeter or every 80 centimeter as a bale size, for example, can you directly mount the clay boards without a board or planks on such a construction?
Yes, sure. Most are 60-5. This is a typical distance for modern dry building systems. We have boards which have 50 centimeters or even 37.5, but it's usually a typical under construction distances. For this, we got two kinds of boards and two kinds of using the boards. First, we call Beplankungen. It's for an under construction, for a sub-construction. And the other one, it's called Bekleidungen, like clothes. And this is for wooden boards, for example, or mineral grounds, but always where you glue it or fix it on a whole surface.
Okay. There are two types of spray machines. One is the dry one and one is the wet one. They need different materials. So we have a straw bale wall very well shaved and stuffed, and we want to clay plaster it with Claytec, a Claytec product. What would you suggest for a dry machine, and what would you suggest for a wet machine?
We have on our website one homepage which only works on this questions, where you can find from all the bigger producers from plaster machines for examples for dry and for wet materials. For dry material, the most used gypsum plaster machine in Germany is the PFT G4. Most plasterers have it, but it's the most difficult machine too. There are easier machines, you know. For example, with the Wagner machine, you can do anything. And on the wet side, and we like this kind very much, as I told, yes, you only need a big and strong mixer and a pump to put the material on the wall. For example, to stay at PFT, it's the mixer can be the multi-mix, and the pump can be 2ZV2ZV. But if you look on the site, it's a part for professionals, and you will find everything about plaster machines and what can be used.
And we can use all the clay plasters you offer, including those clay plasters with straw fibers for both machines?
It was a difficult thing to make the recipe of the straw plasters so that he would go through the gefier. It's a difficult machine, but it works now since I think 20 years at last, and it's absolutely normal to work the dry plaster with this machine. Yes.
Okay.
And then the wet plasters, the machines are bigger and stronger. There, the straw is never a problem.
So to all the participants who watch this discussion or these questions, you can ask naturally your questions in the chat also. So I will look at the chat and then ask these questions to Mr. Röhlen. Last question. Does Claytec have its own clay plasterers?
Our own clay plasters?
Plasterers. Do you
Ah,
have
okay.
people who plaster your products? Do you offer this as well, or just the product? I mean,
No,
just the product. Sorry.
yeah,
The products. We're coming from the building side. We were handcraftsmen since the year of 2000 at last. I think there we are craftsmen who did the plaster, but now we have only for trying the recepts and doing to show how to work with the material and make exhibition for the dealers and something like this. But we have old friends and good partners, at least more than 600, I think, actually, all over Germany and some over Europe who work with our plasters. But it's not our employees.
Okay, so but you have it on some recommendations for clay plasters on your website, or if, let's say, the opposite way, there is a clay plaster here under the straw balers or under the clay plasterers, and he wants to work with your product, and he wants to be also in your recommendation database, if there is something like that.
Yes, we would like this very much. Craftsmen are searched for. We could do more if we had more craftsmen. So you're welcome very, very much. Sure.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Röhlen. This was short, but I think the questions are over. And we focus now on the panel systems. So, the straw bale panels. First question to you three, Bjorn Kirulf from Ecococon, Moritz Reichert from Lorenz Systems and DD Walls, and Lauynas from Modulina will answer the questions in this row. Yeah, so first Bjorn, and then Moritz, and then Lauynas. So the first question to all, what if you compare the three systems, the special advantages when I use your system? And Bjorn, please turn on your microphone. Why should I, as a customer, use Ecococon system?
I think the most important thing is that any straw panels are being used. I think that's the most important. I don't really see ourselves even as competitors. We are competing against other companies, I think, who produce other materials, and we need to change the mindset. And the more it becomes normal to build with straw, the easier it will become for everyone. So that's my view. Maybe what it makes us a little bit different is that we make really smaller modules, which can then be put together into a more diverse variations, and that we have maybe a little bit better surface of the straw as such. Yeah, I think these two things are maybe setting us apart a little bit.
Moritz?
Okay, I think you know my few of you also know my system since many years actually, and last years we learned a lot and did a lot of research, and our system is, I think it's quite good because it's very versatile. You can have floor plates, you can have walls, you can have roof panels, you can cut triangles. Because of these sticks we have inside, we cut them with a saw. We can cut in angles, and we can cut openings out. This I like on my system, on our system, very much. We work, of course, always to improve it, to make now we have a really good surface because we have a new machine. Now we have a special machine to put the how it's called, Aussteifung, Herbert, how it's in English?
Bracing.
Bracing. Actually, we have since 1 week we have this machine, and it's a really good thing. We can it's a kind of fräse. We can fräse the beams inside, and it works really good. Yeah, and we work on. And my experience is with we built till now this year under the brand of Lorenz. We built 6 houses, and it's quite a challenge because we offer. You can order an internet a kit to build a house. And any architect and any engineer can order it. And this, you can imagine, it's not so easy. But it's a challenge, and we work together. We have new partners in Germany. They will cooperate with us. Röhlen brothers, architects since 125 years, very nice guys, and we hope we can really do a lot of panels. Now harvesting this next week, we start harvesting, and
thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
you see.
Moritz.
Okay. Okay, it's I can talk a lot. It's very exciting actually. And, yeah.
Wonderful. So, question to Lauynas, the same question.
Yeah, I would, I think, start with the same, what Bjorn said. It's also what we say. Well, we don't say it for the first time. We say into the end, it doesn't matter. Is it our panels or some other producer is the most important. That's you are building a straw. We would also would say that for the infill techniques for the self-builders. But yeah, just at least for me, it looks like Modulina as a company, as we've been kind of new on the market, we would go and we would say, yes, what crazy ideas you have, we are going to do this, or we'll try to do this, you know, by doing with the panel system. There are some differences between us and other producers, but I would say it's a small thing. I could talk a lot also about that, but you know.
There might
many
be
small things.
Yeah,
So,
there was one thing that I forgot about, and I think is important to mention, is that we use very little wood compared. We use less wood, much thinner pieces of wood, and we also, where they are connected, we connect the pieces of wood every meter, so the straw indirectly helps us to increase the load bearing capacity. So that might be at least with the prices of wood today, that might be a certain advantage.
Bjorn, you know how much % you need for your panels? How much % of wood?
It depends on which kind of panel. Yes.
Because
so,
we have actually we have a tool to calculate it quite exactly in our panels, because we have different sizes, and we use from 13% to 17.
okay.
Between 13, it's if we have the 45 millimeter wood, and 17 if we use the 60 millimeters. And of course, with the price now and in general, I think the goal is to use less as possible.
Yeah, I think we are at in an average somewhere about 9 to 10%. That's maybe 11. But it very much depends also on the type of projects, because you might have projects with very many small panels, and then you have projects with big panels. It does make a difference.
The next question comes here from the chat. For all panel producers, what's the tallest building that can be built with your product?
The tallest? Oh.
How many stories can I build with Ecococon, Lorenz, or Lauynas system?
You can always use it as an infill in a concrete building, so then you can go wherever, more or less. But we have done that in Switzerland. There was a project where it was done. But as a load-bearing concept, we think that 5 to 6 stories are doable. Because we have a modular system, we can just make the panels narrower, so we get more posts. So we are very, very flexible to add, let's say, more wood to the bottom and then make it spread it out or further up. But we are really looking for the structural engineers and architects who want to build.
I think you can build with, for example, with our Lorenz panel up to 3 stories without problem. But then if you go higher, you need an additional structure, a wooden structure, is sure.
Yes.
We are in connection with Dirk Schammer with the 4-story, but this is an additional structure.
Yes. And Lauynas?
It's we can just add it's 3 stories. It would be also possible without any changes, basically, but it's possible to do it higher. There are high-rise timber frame buildings, and all those straw panels, it's construction from timber. So you just need the engineer who'd calculate how to make the structure, how thick. And also the joints, it's going to be a little bit different from what we would use, but then 5, 6 stories higher, 7 stories, it can be done. It just needs a big adaptation. But for sure, like if it's a big project, even for us as a company, or maybe some, Bjorn or Moritz, they would say, okay, we'll try to invent this, type of buildings, and we would do it. So I think it's possible. It's just what they say, there should be a need for that.
There is another question. All of your panels come with a wind bracing, so they are somehow diagonally braced if I need it. I don't need an additional board, USB board or something to brace it, yeah?
Yes. Since not long time we have it, actually, and it works good, yeah.
So I saw it also in the other, and Ecococon naturally, and Lauynas, you can also say yes to that.
I would say we use a little bit different approach to this. We usually make it doesn't come with our panels. We can do it, diagonal bracings, to incorporate those in the panels. But I think it's easier to do it with the metal place stripes, just when it's already mounted on the base plate, and you can, you know, in the real construction, it's not always the foundation is even. So you need to make sure that all of the planes are equal and 90 degrees. So it gives a little bit of freedom to move those. It's not stiff at the beginning, because if your foundation is a little bit bumpy, then those panels are going like this, and it's harder to make it on the top. So for us, we're saying, okay, just make it even, all of those, and then secure it. So that's our idea, how to do it.
I have to leave. Unfortunately, my train is going, so have a good further discussion. Or good meeting.
Good night, Ollie.
Bye.
Okay, there was one question of Cypran. Cypran, are you here and do you want to join?
Hi, good evening. Yeah, it's really unfortunate that Bjorn has just left, because I wanted to ask the question to all three of the panel builders here on this talk about, so we were talking about the what's the tallest you can go with straw bale panel or straw panels. Bjorn said, and I just heard him say just before he left, that he's working with engineers. And I suppose this question, if he's not here, he can't answer. So Moritz and Lorenz, what's your response to that? Are you, presumably you guys are working with engineers at the moment anyway?
We all know the answer, I think. It's depending on the building law in the country. So especially in UK, when we talk about UK, you can go up, make high-rise buildings as soon as you have. This is has to be according to the fire or the fire law in the country. But there is no restriction, as far as I know, in UK. As long as you have sprinklers or encapsulating, whatever, so the surfaces have to be unburnable. And then naturally in some houses you have to have these restrictions for gases or smoke or something like that. As long as you follow the fire rules in your country, you can build with wooden buildings as high as you want in UK. This is quite different in Germany, in Austria, and it is also different in other countries. In Austria, we heard yesterday that we can go up to 35 meters now. In some countries it's 23 meters, because this is the length of the ladder of the fire brigades. And then the second part is, are the modules strong enough to bear the weight?
Well, this is why I was disappointed. Just as soon as I was going to ask, Bjorn had to leave. He said, you know, we're going to be working with engineers on this. So can I ask Moritz and Lorenz, what's your response? Are you guys working with engineers to go higher?
What I said before, I think without any problem we can take the load from 3-floor buildings. But if we go higher, I'm not sure. I'm not, you know, it has to be calculated by the constructor, of course. And then I think up higher than 3 stories, you need the additional structure inside. You know?
Yeah.
For me, I was just some years ago, I was working with the timber frame company. They were building high-rise timber buildings in Norway, and it was 5 to 6 stories high. So the joints are a little bit different than you would go just post to post. or actually when you have the decks in between, you need to adapt it. And I think all of our, three of us at least, the panels are not completely ready for that just straight away how it is now. But with additional things done in the structurally in the panels, it's possible to do it. But in, you know, why we are saying, okay, 3 stories, because there is no demand, let's say, or somebody who's, oh, let's do this. That's
Wow.
why, I don't know. Cyprian,
No.
come to us and tell us to build that house.
Look, can I just say, for years, I mean, I think the first time I met Herbert at Montargis, I think I asked him the question about the tallest building, and I've always been I bore people about this. What's the tallest building? I don't. I must say, I'm not obsessed with wanting to have a very, very tall building. You know, this is not the point I'm trying to make. In the UK, the average, we call it social housing in the UK, yeah? And in the UK, the average social housing tower, so building, is about 10, 11 stories, yeah? I myself am living on an estate where we would be going to 9 stories, actually 11 stories. And I would love for our estate to have 11-story straw panels, but they can't do it because they don't understand how to do it, you know? So again, what you were saying, the 3 of you, saying about technology and working with engineers, I think we need to go to that next step, and we need to work closer with engineers then to make it happen.
I think you have to make a separation or distribution, not distribution, separation between modules where or systems where you can build also intermediate ceilings, for example, because they are more important, intermediate walls, more important from flat to flat in high-rise or multifamily buildings than the outer walls and the roof which are offered. So there are systems from Ecococon where I see that they are theoretically able to do these 3 to 5 story buildings always according to the building law. We made this project Vivi House where we also designed panels together with a technical university, which is a free and open system now. And for example, for 5-story buildings, we needed a construction which was because we didn't want to encapsulate it with some Fermacell or gypsum fiber boards to make it fireproof. So we had to use about 30 by 30 posts as a skeleton. This is one possibility. The second possibility is, as you know, most probably from the business park in UK, Motzell. This is a steel construction on the inside, and the panels are the wall system. So in this case, you could use any kind of system of the 3, as far as because they all have 120 minutes. I don't know about the fire resistance of Modulina, but at least Ecococon and Lorenz have the 120 minutes fire resistance, which is not needed, but because we need 90 minutes. And the ETA or the CE certification is there, so you could use it. And the third possibility, also done with this, let's say, high-rise building in Saint-Dié-de-Vosges in France, is a KLH box inside, which is the load-bearing structure, and then you have the modules mounted on the outside, like a wrapping system, which you also saw as an example in the Lorenz walls.
Okay, thank you, Moritz and Lorenz.
It's mainly the load-bearing construction which has to withstand the fire, and not so much the models as well, but this is what we know they do. Okay, great. There was another long question from Martin Comas. I am amazed for the great evolution of European companies. I am constructing with prefab-panels, but they still have a long way to go. Very low industrialization. Is there any interest in any of you to fabricate in Uruguay, and from Uruguay approach to all the Latin imaging natural and passive house market. Nobody is doing anything like this over here in Uruguay and so South America. Yes, a question. And this is my last question to you, because then we should start with the future, but we are already in the future. So what is your strategy for European distribution, and what is your strategy added to this question for maybe South America or China or whatever? Or are there any strategies like that?
Yeah, we have a strategy. Our strategy is, let's say, the German-speaking markets for now. But we have also like a Fachpartner, for example, in Holland or something. They speak, let's say, also like, yeah, it's Europe. But our strategy actually is like it's a B2B strategy. We are looking for Fachpartners, means like for partners we can cooperate together, not just for one project. And we don't now we take, let's say, every client we can get, of course, but actually the strategy is like a B2B strategy, that we have reliable partners. They know us, we know them, of course, because what now it's really like it's a big challenge now to start the thing and to cooperate with people you don't know. It's not easy, but the strategy is the B2B Fachpartner strategy. Yeah.
So, but I will not be able to order your panels via Alibaba in Uruguay or whatever.
The thing with Uruguay, it's quite nice, yeah, but not for now, Herbert. Not now.
Lauynas, about your strategy.
So everyone can join, I guess, or who is there. So for us, for Modulina, what I said also in the video, we are kind of emerging from our dungeons here in Lithuania, trying to get to European arena and also find partners who can build with our panels. For sure, we have already thought about the production because it's we are based in Lithuania, and you know, like just transporting all those of the panels to the furthest places to Europe is also quite expensive. Might be, it could be cheaper actually from Lithuania to transport the panels than to build it in Spain, just economically. But we also thinking about rationally for the materials and, you know, doing it locally. So that would be easier to have everywhere the factories. And for Modulina, we spend a lot of time trying to make the machinery for the prefabrication to be as labor that not people are doing that manually. So we are thinking of could we make it the whole factory, just all of that equipment, let's say to Uruguay or to any South America or any North America. So it's in the plans, but for now it's a little bit lower.
Okay.